This is part 61 of my series on my N-gauge model railway project. Previous parts covered the project from its inception through the creation of the baseboard, selection and laying of track, building of scenic items, obtaining rolling stock, etc. The project is ongoing. This part is devoted to a model of the LMS Turbomotive loco. First, some detailed discussion of the real loco and of the model, and then some running video of the model on the layout. Normally I tend to cover rolling stock acquisitions by rolling several into one video, but since this is a rather special model of a rather special locomotive, I thought I'd give it its own dedicated video. The LMS Turbomotive was a one-off experimental locomotive built in 1935. It was a modified version of the Princess Royal class, using essentially the same frame, firebox and boiler. The whole point of this experimental loco was to eliminate the use of cylinders with reciprocating pistons and instead use turbines to translate the steam power to driving the wheels. Turbines were already in common use for marine steam engines. However, railway locomotives presented rather different problems to the marine situation. In theory, the use of turbines should be more efficient, since it eliminates the reciprocation of the pistons, where the piston is stopped and then forced in the opposite direction on every stroke, which is an inherent inefficiency. The Turbomotive used two completely separate turbines, one for running forward and one for running in reverse. This solution was adopted in order to avoid either having to reverse the turbine or to use gears for reversal. The reversing turbine was much smaller than the main forward turbine, so much so that the locomotive had relatively little power in reverse and could not reverse a train effectively. In all of the pictures so far, we've been seeing the short reversing turbine, which was mounted on the right side of the boiler. The reversing turbine is inside the small rounded case above where the outside cylinders would normally be. Here is a contemporary postcard view showing the Turbomotive from the other side. Now we can see the casing for the main forward turbine, which ran the whole length of the frame. Here is the Turbomotive being turned on a turntable, again from the left side, showing the main turbine casing. And here is another view, again showing the main turbine. Other than the use of turbines, the loco is essentially a regular Princess Royal class Pacific. Here's a view of the loco in operation, pulling a passenger train and picking up water from a water trough. The loco had a regular boiler and firebox and used coal and water in essentially exactly the same way as a regular Princess Royal class engine. And here's a contemporary publicity painting of the Turbomotive. Was the Turbomotive a success or a failure? The answer really depends how you evaluate success. The Turbomotive functioned effectively and did show some advantages. It was slightly more efficient in the use of coal and water than a regular Princess Royal class loco under equal circumstances. Another advantage was that the use of turbines rather than pistons eliminated hammer blow to the track, which would have been beneficial in terms of track upkeep and maintenance. The Turbomotive was used in regular service, pulling passenger trains for 14 years and travelled several 100,000 miles in service. So in those senses it was successful. However, it did not show sufficient advantages, given some disadvantages in terms of engineering and maintenance, to lead to any further adoption of the use of steam turbines in railway engines, and so in that sense it was a failure, or at least a dead end, existing as a functioning one-off but not leading to any further pursuit of its special features. The end of the Turbomotive was rather tragic. When a turbine failed in 1949, it wasn't felt worthwhile to attempt the creation of a new turbine, and the locomotive was rebuilt as a conventional engine using Coronation-class cylinders and christened Princess Anne. Sadly, after only 2 months in service after this rebuild, it was involved in a terrible accident at Harrow and Wealdstone Station and was so badly damaged that it was scrapped. Models of the Turbomotive have been made in OO gauge and in other gauges, I believe. However, I don't believe any model of the Turbomotive has ever been commercially produced in N gauge. This is the model that I bought. It was hand-built using a modified kit by a gentleman in the UK. The builder of this model also made the models I have of the LMS Patriot class Bunsen and the GWR Dean Goods. I believe he was an engineer by profession, and he did excellent work making models. This view from the left shows the full-length main turbine casing, and this is now the right side showing the reversing turbine. Here you can see detail on the front of the loco, including lamps, coded for passenger express, which would have been the normal use of the Turbomotive. The modeler also included a crew on the footplate. Here's the model getting its first run on my layout. Since the loco and tender body are both substantial metal items, the model has considerable weight, which helps it to run smoothly and pull well. Here it is pulling a short train of Stanier coaches past the fairly recently planted woods at the east end of my layout. Here's the same view, just a little closer. You can see the footplate crew there. And here it is coming out of the other end of the tunnel past some other little odds and ends of building work that I just added. Here's the Turbomotive model standing next to the Flying Scotsman in Colville Station. So now let's see a bit of video of the model running on the layout. I used 3 cameras for this running video, so we'll see how that works out. Okay, just wanted to get a little bit of running video of the LMS Turbomotive here. I'm never sure, I have no idea, being a turbine engine, I have really no idea what sound the Turbomotive made. Presumably not a chuff-chuff like a regular engine, so I don't know what I should do with the sound. I've got sort of rapid chuffing on at the moment. I could turn it off entirely. Otherwise I wouldn't know what else to do, really. Very nice model, handmade, from a modified kit by a gentleman in the UK. And they've got 3 Stanier coaches behind it, and a restaurant car, which is actually British Railways because I can't get an LMS restaurant car, so... A British Railways restaurant car is the best I can do, unfortunately. I have no idea what noise the Turbomotive should make. I have it making rapid noise, or I can have it making no noise. I don't know.